When my husband had his heart attack, I rushed to the hospital, but I wasn't the only wife in the waiting room. What I discovered that night changed everything I thought I knew about my 35-year marriage. My name is Margaret, and I'm 62 years old. Robert and I had been married for 35 years. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I thought we had a solid marriage. He was a travelling salesman, gone 3 weeks out of every month, but that was just his job, or so I thought. That Tuesday evening started like any other. I was making dinner when I heard a loud crash from the living room. I ran in to find Robert, collapsed on the floor, clutching his chest. If you've listened this far, please let us know which country you're watching from in the comments. The ambulance ride was a blur. All I could think about was losing the man I'd spent more than half my life with. The doctors rushed him into surgery, and I was left alone in that cold, sterile waiting room. I called our daughter Sarah, our son Michael. I called his brother Tom. I was making all the calls any wife would make when her husband is fighting for his life. But then, around 11 p.m., something strange happened. A woman walked into the waiting room. She was younger than me, maybe in her early 40s, with 2 children, a teenage girl and a boy who looked about 12. At first I thought they were just another family dealing with their own emergency. But then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The boy, he had Robert's eyes, the exact same green eyes, and his nose, and that little dimple in his chin. The woman approached the reception desk and said, "I'm here about Robert Peterson. I'm his wife, Linda." I felt like the world had stopped spinning. Wife? I was his wife. I had been his wife for 35 years. I stood up, my legs shaking, and walked over to her. "Excuse me," I said, "but I think there's been a mistake. I'm Robert Peterson's wife. I'm Margaret." The look on her face, it was the same shock I was feeling. We stared at each other for what felt like hours. Then Linda said something that shattered my world. "How long have you been married to him?" When I said 35 years, she went pale. "We've been married for 16 years, she whispered. 16 years. While I was home alone 3 weeks every month, missing my husband, he was with another family, another wife, other children. The teenage girl had his stubborn streak. The boy had his laugh. Linda was just as shocked as I was. She thought she was his only wife. She thought his business trips were, well, business trips. We both realized we'd been living a lie. As we sat there in that waiting room, Linda and I began comparing our lives. His schedule with her perfectly matched his absences from me. When he told me he was in Chicago, he was actually home with her in Denver. When he told her he was in New York, he was home with me in Portland. 2 houses, 2 mortgages, 2 families, 2 completely separate lives, perfectly orchestrated for 16 years. We found out he had 2 phone numbers, 2 email addresses, even 2 different insurance policies. But the most heartbreaking part? Linda showed me photos on her phone. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, school plays, all the moments I thought he was missing because of work. He wasn't missing them. He was celebrating them with another family. Robert survived the surgery. When he woke up the next morning, both of his wives were standing at the foot of his bed. I'll never forget the look of pure terror in his eyes. He tried to explain. He said he never meant for it to happen. He said he loved us both. He said he was going to tell us eventually. 35 years of marriage, and he was going to tell me eventually. Linda was crying. I was past crying. I was empty. How do you process that your entire adult life has been a lie? That the man you trusted with everything had been living a double life for almost half of your marriage. Linda and I did something that surprised everyone, including ourselves. We became allies. We realized we were both victims of the same man's deception. We decided to handle this together. We hired the same lawyer. We worked together to untangle the financial mess Robert had created. 2 households, 2 sets of expenses, all supported by lies and careful manipulation. Robert begged us both to forgive him. He said he could change. He said he would choose. But how do you trust someone who had been lying to you for 16 years? How do you rebuild a marriage on that foundation? I filed for divorce. So did Linda. Robert lost both of his families in the same week. The house we'd shared for 35 years was sold to pay for the legal fees and settlements. People ask me if I'm bitter. The truth is I was devastated, but I also felt relieved. All those years of wondering why he seemed distant sometimes, why he was so secretive about his work, why he never wanted to travel together, it all finally made sense. Linda and I stayed in touch. Our children, his children, they're half-siblings. They deserved to know each other. We couldn't let Robert's lies destroy their chance at having a relationship. I'm 64 now, and I'm finally living an honest life. I'm dating again, believe it or not. I've learned that it's never too late to start over, and that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living a lie. If you're watching this and something doesn't feel right in your relationship, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't make excuses for behavior that doesn't add up. And remember, you deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who divides their love between multiple lives. If this story resonated with you, please share it. There might be another woman out there who needs to hear that she's not crazy for questioning what doesn't feel right. Subscribe to Wise Women Stories for more real experiences from women who chose truth over comfort. We're stronger than we know, and we're never too old to choose ourselves. Thank you for listening to my story. Until next time, remember, your truth is your power.